Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to kick off our press conference here for the Shriners Children's 500 with the winning team owner, Joe Gibbs, and crew chief, Adam Stevens. So for both of you, can you just kind of walk us through that win and what those final laps were like?
Yeah, I think Adam needs to do that. I was standing praying. That's all I did.
I was doing the same thing, except I was sitting. Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking at the end. You just really don't want to see a late race caution and really jumble the running order and get some different pit strategies. And I didn't want to see it, and thankfully it stayed green there. But yeah, just a great weekend, really. We had a great practice. Didn't qualify well, just had him too tight, and started the race a little bit too tight. And once we got the balance close, man, he just drove it straight to the front. And he just did such a good job getting all the speed out of the car and giving us good feedback to make changes. And the race played out pretty straightforward, and the best car won.
All right, we'll open it up to questions. We'll start right up here with Zach and then go to Jonathan and Bob.
Zach Sterniello, NASCAR.com. Adam, for you, obviously you guys didn't get a full race in to see where you guys would have stacked up back in November, but practice showed that you guys had long run speed there. Was that a good enough starting point for this weekend and to capitalize this time around? Does that, obviously it doesn't ease the loss of last fall, but what's the emotion after today's win?
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit cathartic. We felt like we were going to be really competitive in the race last time. We again started a little bit too, just missing the balance a little bit, and had one attempt to fix it, and then blew that rotor just a few laps later. But I felt like we had what we needed to race for it for sure. And if anything, we built off that this weekend. We were definitely better this week. But everything is so new. It's a new tire combination. You know, we were fortunate enough to be part of that test in December. It's a new aero package for the field. It's a new body for Toyota. There's just a lot of new in there, and it took a lot different setup to really get the balance back. And credit to my guys, my new engineer, White Knight, and William really dug in there along with myself and Bell, and came up with something we thought was going to work, and it did. So we're pretty pleased.
That said, Toyota as a whole had a lot of speed today. Do you feel like that's based on what you as a team has found, or the manufacturer? Where do you feel like that speed came from, and can it apply when you come back in November?
It's definitely going to apply when we come back in November. There's no question. We have the best notebook to build off of. All of our teammates had moments of being really good, and everybody, and not just the Toyotas, everybody's got a list of how they can be better. So it's too early to tell if there is some kind of you know, gap to the field. I don't think that. I don't feel that. I just think that we hit it better than everybody else did today. We'll go to Bob Pockris.
Bob Parker's Fox Sports. Adam, why could Christopher seem to do things that nobody else seemed to be able to do today?
That's a great question. I think we focused on some very specific things with our setup with this package, and he was able to really tell us how he wanted to run this race and the line he wanted to run, and we optimized to it. So, you know, I think that we just hit it better than everybody, and that made that gap to the field today. But, you know, he's really good everywhere we go. He's exceptional short track racer, and he showed that today. So I'm really thankful that we were able to put it all together for him.
And for Coach, just how do you feel about Toyota had introduced a new body this year after the last two races? How would you analyze that change?
Yeah, everybody knows in our sport, it just takes a lot of people and everybody working together. And it does start with Toyota, all the support and help they give us. I just so pleased with the effort at the race shop, all of our guys. Everybody knows how important Phoenix is. And so I think there was a great effort. There was a lot of new to it, the new package and all that. And I couldn't be happier with the way today went. And I think all of our cars, like Adam said, at some point showed strength and we're up there. So that's a good feeling. Everybody's going to be working on this, so you can't sit back. When we come back, it's going to be, you know, racing for a championship. Hopefully we're in it. And so I just appreciate everybody. I was really happy with William Solich winning on Friday, and then Chandler yesterday. So it was a big weekend for us. Really appreciate all of our teams and everybody, the way they work together.
All right, we're going to go to Jeff and then Jonathan.
Adam, when you took 4 tires in the last stop, was there any debate in your mind where you're just like, our car's so good, we don't need to mess around here with some other strategy?
Well, we didn't want to see that caution right on the edge of the fuel window. A couple guys had pit on the previous caution that was just outside the fuel window, and you knew they weren't coming back down. So at that point, I knew that 2 tires wasn't going to get us the lead, and it didn't make much sense to restart, 8th or 9th with 2 tires with a balance that was, if anything, a little bit on the tight side. It was just tighten us up more, and we weren't going to get the lead with it. So at that point, we just kind of had to take our lumps. Not the ideal time for a caution, but thankfully the green flag laps on the back end made the difference. We restarted 20th. I was not too worried that we would get stuck. I was worried that we would go a short period and then catch the next caution. If we only went 15 or 20 or 25 and have to follow 15 cars down pit road, and you don't have that tire advantage to anybody in front of you anymore, it's going to be a lot harder to come through the field at that point.
Jonathan Field, the racing experts, you talked about the test. What from the test, I guess, helped you, continue to work on the car, get the balance just right?
Yeah, well, it was pretty, less than a month, I guess, or about a month after Phoenix. So it was very fresh, and we got to start with the 2023 package. So we got to take all of our notes and say, man, if we would have done this, this, and this, we would be that much better. So obviously we unloaded like we thought would have raced the best, and it was really good. That was the best data point for us. Then we spent a really long time changing a bunch of aero stuff that didn't add any value to us. But then we did get to spend some time on the tire that we raced here today. And we all did that were participating in the test. So just that little bit of notes and that little bit of leg up on everyone that didn't get to participate is a big deal.
And what more do you need to keep up in November?
Well, as fast as we were, we probably still took off too tight. And we haven't figured out how to qualify here to save our souls. So we're going to have to figure that out. We missed the balance too free in the fall and missed it too tight this time. Obviously, our teammates had speed. They were up there on the front row. So we got to start a little bit closer to the front to protect that track position at the start of the race and also help the pit stall selection for sure.
We'll come right up here.
Cooper Inspirations, RodeoOnline.com. Adam, this one's for you. I know you guys had one little slower pit stop, and I know a lot of guys kind of stayed out and had mixed strategies. How do you calm yourself down in that moment? I know you had a good car, but, how do you calm down yourself and calm down Christopher and just, tell yourself everything's going to be all right?
We had a dominant car, so losing a few spots on pit road at that point in time wasn't going to be a deal breaker, unless there's a wreck on the restart in front of you, which we've seen. It's just a matter of time before you can claw your way back up there. So kudos to him for staying focused and not letting that get to him, and kudos to the guys for bouncing back. You're not going to do 8.5-second pit stops without making a mistake every once in a while, and they bounced back just fine after that, and that's just part of it.
All right, we are now also joined by David Wilson, president of TRD USA. Before we take further questions, David, would you like to give an opening statement for us?
Well, I'll start by just congratulating Christopher and Adam. I find it really special, the relationship that they've developed. Adam is such a good leader, and truly was a team effort to get to the finish line. For Toyota, this was a momentous win. This was the first win with our new Camry body. I was clear to say at the beginning of the year that we have struggled here recently, and I didn't realize this statistic until it was brought to my attention, but the 4 previous Phoenix races, Toyota's led a combined 15 laps. And today we led. Today we led everything but 16 laps or 14 laps. So certainly that is a credit to this team. to the Joe Gibbs Racing organization, to TRD USA, to our design partners, Kelty Design, who helped us with this new Camry body. But at the same time, I will say that, you know, the secret to longevity in sports, in motorsports, is never get too high. When the day goes your way, and never get too low when it doesn't. Because we're going to be racing again next week, and Phoenix will be in our rearview mirror.
All right, we're going to go to Dustin Long next.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Adam, you guys obviously were fast the whole weekend on the longer runs, but you know, looking back at the numbers here last fall, you guys were fast, among the fastest or fastest, 5, 10, 15. And in some ways, it almost seems like it was a carryover, even though it's a different body, different car, different challenges. What were you guys able to do to continue that, and what did you have to do differently because of the different body? Because it wasn't the same thing.
Yeah, it's just a completely different balance, especially with the rules package too. It's hard for me to tell you how much of the balance difference is from the new body and how much is from this rules package. I mean, honestly here, but it's wildly different, and the setup that it takes to optimize it is wildly different than what we ran. But the things you focus on and work on, and the tools you use to get there are the same. So, I think a big part of the reason that we're good on the long run is the way that Christopher manages his inputs and what he does with the car to protect the tires. And he's really good at making speed without slipping the tires if his car is decent. And, he showed that today. And he's really good at making micro adjustments to his line to chase that little bit of grip as rubber goes down and the track changes. So I think what you saw today is just his skill set and a car that was up to the task.
And also, how much did you feel like you could make moves and move around the traffic? Because I remember last fall's race, I think back early on, you guys got stuck behind the 17, even got loose, even got underneath them and couldn't complete the pass and got stuck. And today you're able to now make moves. I know some of that was tire strategies that other teams were doing, but it seemed like you were able to make things happen more than you.
Yeah, that's a good question. One data point, but that's the one we have, and we'll talk about it for sure. But we had a good car, but when we were tight at the start, we weren't going forward. We barely held our ground. But when we got the balance close, he was able to make moves and get up there. And I think that, if anything, you would say that there was an improvement there. You have to ask some of the other competitors really to get a better feel for that. But I thought when we had a run, we could get closer than we could, and we could make a move. And the other thing I liked was the tire and the track conditions and the reduced downforce overall kind of widen the racetrack out a little bit. You could run too wide on both ends of the racetrack. You could pass high if you had to, pass low if you needed to, and it was just overall racier, I would say. Yeah.
Before we continue, does anyone have any final questions for Coach here? Oh, go ahead.
John Herfel in the Circuit Journal. For Coach, today was a career best finish for Ty. Obviously, you're proud of him as a grandfather, but also as a team owner. What challenges do you face balancing Joe Gibbs, the grandfather, versus Joe Gibbs, the team owner?
Yeah. I think it's anybody out there with kids or grandkids knows what I'm talking about, no matter what the sport, whether it's baseball, they're hitting, pitching, or basketball. It's just, it's part of your family, and you love them to death, and you want them to be successful at what they want to do. This is Ty's dream. I think from the time he was 2, he's been on something with wheels, 8 hours a day. And so, anyway, it's a very tough climb, tough world. He's got to really work hard. We'll see, if he can get it done.
All right, thank you for the time, Coach.
Thank y'all.
Do we have any other questions for Adam or David? We'll go right up here to Cameron.
57 for Gibbs.
David, during the preseason, when you had the Zoom call, you said this. I think this is the best body we've ever taken to the track. I think the stat I read was that this was the first time in NASCAR history Toyota had 5 drivers lead 50 or more laps. So seems first time around that it passed with flying colors.
So obviously, I was talking about the numbers that we see on paper, right? The wind tunnel, the CFT, and I know how much effort. Really, it was unprecedented how closely TRD USA and Joe Gibbs Racing worked together on that body. But I may have said, because I say this all the time, you don't race wind tunnels, you don't race dynos, and you could be the best on paper, but unless you have the talent behind the steering wheel and the team and the pit crews to put an entire race together, the rest is meaningless. So certainly what we've seen 4 races in validates a lot of our optimism. But we have a whole lot of racing left to go, and we have more intermediates and more big tracks and more short tracks to truly evaluate where we are.
Do we have any additional questions? All right, thank you both for the time and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.